Hi again. In this video I want to talk to you about what I call mental language. Mental language is English. I apologise if your language isn't English, but these things are controlled outside all of our, conscious awareness. English is a very, very interesting language. It's comprised of a number of other languages. It's one of the fairly newer languages on the scene, globally speaking, and it's fascinating because it breaks linguistic rules. Not only does it break linguistic rules, it also has huge assumptions. In many other languages, they will be very generous to you and very common sense, and they will give you accents when you make a sound in a different manner. English doesn't do that. You're just meant to know. You're meant to know when a sound means one particular word. Take, for example, night. You have night, K-N-I-G-H-T, you have night, the middle of the night. How are you supposed to know the difference? Unless it's written down, you can't. This is why it's mental language, because you require the symbols as well as the sound to gain the full understanding. A lot of people would like to see the end of silent letters because they don't see the point in them. But actually, silent letters are our keys to freedom. They are our keys to liberation, because they all reveal something when you understand the science of sound in greater depth. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you an example of how important these silent letters are. Okay, what is this? Some of you might say a circle. Some of you might say zero. Some of you might say wholeness. Some of you might say the female. It's all of those things and none of them. It's a circle, isn't it? Or whatever you want to call it. However, we can very, very quickly and easily do this. Okay. Triangle, circle, square. 0 and 2. Orange. The direction your mind shoots off in each of these is completely different. We process shapes totally differently from how we process numbers, totally differently from how we process letters. So that original shape could have been anything until we gave it context, until we gave it a relationship. Then it had meaning. Same as in the example earlier of night and night. If we were talking about a knight riding a horse, I'm not talking about night as in the opposite of day. If I'm talking about the moon was shining brightly one night, you would know I'm not talking about a knight with a K riding on a horse. Yeah? Context is hugely important, massively, massively significant. We look at that in greater depth in some of the workshops that I do and some of the other events, because it's through context that we have been misled a lot of the time in the use of words and language by media, by politicians, by dark controlling forces who are trying to mislead you. But the point of this exercise is to demonstrate that all characters, all shapes are shapes first. Obviously a shape is a shape first, but most of us don't accept that even letters are shapes first. The only thing that makes you process them differently is context. Yeah? And it is, because if you're walking down the street and you just see a line, you would ignore it. But if you saw it on, say, a spreadsheet or on a mathematical paper, you'd say, oh, it's a 1. And if you saw it next to these letters here, you'd say, oh, that's the word loan. But it could just be somebody's actually tripped and done an accidental line and written the word 1. Yeah? We make massive assumptions of context. We make massive assumptions based on context. And really, they're just shapes, and they have a huge amount of power over us. I like to say that we spell all our words because all of our words are spells. And that's really, really significant. Words are hugely powerful, and they are used to sometimes help you, sometimes enlighten you, but other times they are used to control and mislead you. And that's what my work is about showing you where you have been controlled, where you've been misled, because you have not been conscious of it. My work is about making the subconscious conscious and highlighting to you through this very, very obvious and clear science of sound where this has been taking place. What's great about it is because nobody's known about this before and nobody's known these rules have been at play, is that we can't be lied to. Once we understand the science of sound, you cannot be lied to. It's there in black and white. It's clear as day for us all. Okay, first example of how significant this is. There's a word used in Buddhism and in other terms for what we're meant to be. You know, we're meant to be harmless. But harmless doesn't really cut it, because there's another more advanced word to mean harmless. And that word, I don't know if any of you have thought of it, is benign. Okay. Benign is an interesting word because it means more than just harmless. There's something more to it. Because if we think of a benign tumour, for example, it's a great example. A benign tumour is something which had the potential to do harm, but didn't. It could have, but didn't. Yeah, as compared to a malignant tumour, you have a benign tumour. This is where benign is different from harmless. Harmless is just something which is harmless, it's passive, it doesn't do anything, you know. Benign is something which has the potential to do harm but doesn't. Massive difference, isn't there? Very, very subtle. But this is one of these words that breaks linguistic rules, because there's a silent letter in it. And not only is there a silent letter, phonetically you can't really work this word out unless somebody tells you. What's that? Benign. Benign. Does anybody know? If I said to you benign, you wouldn't know what it was, would you? So phonetically, we say benign. Okay. Now, my writing isn't that great or that clear, but if you remember what we did earlier about all letters are shapes first. There are many things which are out of context in the English language. This is one of them. Let me circle this. Now guys, I don't know if you're going to get this, but this is massively, massively significant. A lowercase g is the same shape as what? It's a 9, that's right. Okay, I've not done that very well. Obviously most of us do a 9 like this, yeah? You won't see that on any computer font, will you? Every single computer font will show you that a 9 is done bleh, like that. I'm just not very good at doing 9s like that because I do mine with a straight leg. But what we actually have here in this word, B9, phonetically, being 9, obviously the number 9, we have hidden here as a secret letter that we all think is G, is actually a 9. Now there's actually a direct relationship between G and 9, which we cover again in a more advanced workshop on science of sound, or we'll do it in another video or something like that. But this is of absolutely massive significance. Hidden in the word benign, we have this little thing to say, just in case you weren't sure what we were talking about, yes, we do mean the number 9. And this is where the people who came up with this word didn't know it, but their soul was speaking to us because it understood the science of sound. Pop that in there for us for right now so that we understand it. And there's a whole series of words with this silent letter in it. Alignment, night, light, all that sort of thing, but they're a different series because of the IGHT. But there are a vast number of words with this in it, and all of them have huge significance to personal growth and personal development. And I cover that in a different subject when we look at the numbers and the significance of the numbers because of this relationship between G and 9. And obviously as well, for those of you who have an understanding of the word, when I talk about the lost word or the word, the G is obviously a huge character at play there, which I'll do a video on shortly. But in terms of this idea of mental language, we should be looking at English as a geometric study. People who have learnt it as a second language find this much, much easier than people who have it natively. But for all of us, we should be looking at English in new ways. It is not a normal language. It is mental language. It is a language of the mental plane, and through understanding the hidden keys and symbols that are in it, We can be liberated, and that is what all my work is about. It's about showing you these keys, because there are lots of them, and when they're all put together, some genuinely remarkable stuff is revealed. Genuinely remarkable. And it's astounding where it takes us.